Hey, welcome to Graphic Policy Television, GPTV. I'm Brett. We've got really cool items, not out on shelves for a little while, but this is the Doctor Strange Dice Masters team pack from Wizkids. For those who haven't played Dice Masters, it's a game where you go and you build teams using these cards and these dice, and you go and battle out with your other players. The way I've described it to folks is it's a combination of a deck builder game and a collectible card game. So I enjoy it a lot. What's really cool is that you got all kinds of cool properties that you can use to play. So everything from DC comic characters to Marvel characters to Yu-Gi-Oh!, Dungeons & Dragons, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and you can mix them all together. So you can have Superman and the Justice League fighting Spider-Man and the Avengers, or have Captain America fighting Iron Man, or they team up and take on other folks. It's really cool. It's a lot of fun. It's a great game out there. It's won a lot of awards and has been pretty popular. Now with the team packs, it's a new thing for the game. It's something they haven't done before, and this is the first release, and it comes with 24 cards and 16 dice based around a theme. Obviously, this one is Doctor Strange, with Doctor Strange the film coming out in November. Perfect timing. The idea of this is that you're able to take this and then get a starter deck, and the starter pack will include some of the other things you need, the starter die, or the main dice that you need for the game, and the basic action cards. And this will allow people to build, more teams together and get things out easier without having to buy boosters. The thing to keep in mind is that you get 2 dice per character, 3 cards per of each of those characters. That's pretty standard as the 3 different type of cards. But the 2 dice, that means you're going to need 2 of these packs if you are a completist and want 4 of every character and die. So, there is that as a drawback. It's supposed to retail for $9.99. So to get everything, all the dice completely filled, it's going to run you $20. Now keep in mind also starter decks run $15.99. You get a bunch of characters, 2 dice for each of those characters. I think there's usually 8 characters total. Plus you get the dice that you need to play the game and the basic action dice. So price-wise, we can debate which is probably the better of the two, but I really like this. I think this is a neat thing. It's a great direction for them to go into, and it's a nice addition for the game. Overall, I think the presentation is really nice, and the packaging is really cool. So we're going to open this up, and we're going to show off what you're going to get with this release. Again, I do like the packaging. I think it's a really neat way they've gone about it. So we get 2 dice for everything, and the cards are in this like handy sleeve. This is actually really kind of neat and could be a cool way to carry around teams if you want. But let's go and actually open this up and show off everyone inside. Alright, so the characters that come in this starter pack. We've got the Ancient One, Clea, got Doctor Strange himself. Of course, we have Doctor Strange. This is a Doctor Strange pack. Dormammu, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that one. The Eye of Agamotto. We get Mindless Ones, Scarlet Witch, finally Wong. So let's go over the various cards and discuss them. So first up, we've got Ancient One. This is Wise Master. So this is a 7 to field with a shield. While Ancient One is active, your opponents gets Mystic character dice get -3 attack. So a way to deal with other characters of this Mystic team, which I think is new with this. Can't think of anyone else that has that. His dice are 166, 177, and 288. For 7 costs, that's pretty beefy dice overall. And his die are these yellow ones. So, a die and a character that costs 1 to field and has 7/7 is pretty rare, I believe. That's not something that's too common. So that's actually, it's an interesting one, but it seems to be very specific towards other Mystic characters. So we got the other one. This is Original Sorcerer Supreme. While Ancient One is active, your opponent cannot target Mystic character dice with global abilities or character abilities. That one's a little bit better and great if you're running a Mystic team. So I can see that one getting played a bit more. But again, 7 fairly costs pretty expensive. And we've got another one as well. Ancient One is active. Your Mystic character dice costs 2 generic less to purchase to a minimum of 1. Now we've seen this sort of mechanic in quite a few different teams. For a 7 cost, yeah, I can see this a little bit more, and it drops the cost for a whole bunch of other characters. So fairly handy, and I can see it if people were to make teams with these characters. Next, let's do Clea. So we've got Flames of Regency is the first card up. 6 Lightning Bolt. Alright, it's her die is 164, 266, and 377. She got these really nice purple die. Kind of cool. Alright, so this one, the Flames of Regency, while Clea is active, once per turn, whenever you use a global ability, you may pay 1 Lightning Bolt, deal 3 damage to a target non-Mystic character die. That could be really handy. At 6 cost, that's a pretty cool ability. Next, we've got Faultine Blood. It's while Clea is active, your other Mystic character dice cost 1 less to field to a minimum of 1. So between her and the Mystic one, we've got some combos going on to get Mystic characters out much cheaper than their current price, so that could be a pretty handy thing. So now she can get the Ancient One down to 6 instead of his 7. Alright, next we got when fielded. Now this is interesting, now she's a Hydra agent. When fielded, KO target opposing level 1 character die or KO target Mystic character die. It's very specific, but we've seen that ability somewhat, but not with the Mystic one. So it costs 7. Could be handy. I have to see. It's an interesting one. It seems like a set they're going to have to think through as to what I really, really like and what I don't. So far, while there's some cool stuff and could add some themes, nothing's really jumping out at me that are must-have for teams or general place. Next, we got Doctor Strange. First is Sanctum Sanctorum. While Doctor Strange is active, pay 1 less to purchase action dice. That could be pretty helpful. His is 155, 267, and 289. And he's kind of got this bluish dye. You can't really see it great on the card, but the dye is kind of cool. It's like a bluish white. I don't know how exactly to describe the color, but it's neat. I like it. It's a very nice dye. It kind of reminds me, I think it's a Superman dye that's really similar. We got Wand of Watum. While Doctor Strange is active, each time you roll 2 or more action dice, you gain 2 life. I can't think too many times I've actually rolled 2 or more action die. So this one I don't see being super helpful, but you never know. And next we've got Hoary Host of Hogoth. While Doctor Strange is active, prevent all but 1 damage to you from each opposing action dice. That, again, I can see being somewhat helpful, but as a 7 cost character, it feels like it's really expensive. Alright, we got Dormammu. So far out of the characters, Doctor Strange has definitely appeared in the AVX set. I don't think any of the other characters as a whole have shown up, other than Scarlet Witch. She's in, what set? I don't remember. Dormammu, of course, villain. Dark Lord of Chaos costs 7, while Dormammu is active. Your opponent pays 1 more to purchase action dice. There's other cards that have the same ability, I believe. In fact, I think Batgirl is, what, 2 more to no. There's someone that definitely does 1. I thought there was one that does 2, or maybe that's characters and I'm mixing stuff up. But we've seen very similar abilities with other cards that are way cheaper than this. At 7, I think it's just way too expensive. 155, 276, and then 288. You can check out the die. Kind of cool. Reminds me of Ghost Rider a little bit. I almost said Ghostbusters. The next is the Dread one. While Dormammu is active, your opponents take 2 damage when they use an action die. Any opponent may KO one of their character dice to ignore this ability until end of turn. That I can see being somewhat helpful, but at a cost of 7 to purchase them, it's a little ridiculous. Plus, you're looking at 2 to field, 1, 2, and 2. It's a little expensive. All right, 6. This one's 6 cost, which is a little bit better. While Dormammu is active, your opponents with 3 or more active characters may not use action dice. Characters are active if they're at least one of their dice in the field zone, so 3 copies of the same character die would count as 1 active character. All right, well, at first I was like, oh, 3 dice in the field zone, that could be really, really helpful, but now it's 3 different characters is the way I'm reading it, so not quite as useful as I thought it would be. So I'm going with just okay on this one. Again, nothing's really jumping out at me as like must-have in the game, but yeah, there could be fun stuff for casual play. There's some of these could be really entertaining. All right, we got the Eye of Agamotto. This is the All-Seeing. When used, place this die on a basic action card. While Eye of Agamotto is on a basic action card, that basic action costs 1 more for your opponents to purchase. While on a basic action card, Eye of Agamotto can be targeted as if it was in the field zone. Alright, so 3 costs, baking action cards cost more money, or more dice. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Here's the die. Can't think of what die reminds me of. But it's kind of neat. It's a neat one. I like it. Alright, next we got 4 cost. This is when used, place this die on a basic action card while Eye of Agamotto is on a basic action card. Your opponent uses this basic action, Eye of Agamotto deals them 1 damage for each copy of Eye of Agamotto. Eye of Agamotto can be targeted as if it was in the field zone. Global, pay 1 generic. The first action you buy this turn is put into your bag instead of the use pile. This I can see being used. This is actually kind of cool. It's basically a... I'm trying to think of the basic action card that allows you to put characters in your bag. It's in War of Light. Whatever. Yeah, I can see this one being used to be able to get die in your bag much quicker with the global. So this one's actually a fairly useful one. We got 3 costs. It also has that same global. Pay first action. Yeah, so both are the first action you buy is put into your bag instead of your used pile. This one then says, when used, place this die on a basic action card while Eye of Agamotto is on a basic action card. When you use that basic action, your character dice gets +1 attack. Eye of Agamotto can be targeted as if it was in the field zone. So spin. I can see the globals being used on both of these cards. So 2 out of 3 are fairly useful in this case. Alright, next we got Mindless Ones. Dark Dimension. When fielded, Mindless Ones deal you 1 damage. 2 cost, 031, 041, and 142. So this is just straight up quick, easy character to go in and do some damage. You can check out the dice, the orange dice. Nothing else to it. It is as straightforward can be. Get in for cheap, do some damage quickly. For rush decks, I can see this being used in some instances. Next, we've got Regenerate, Reroll when KO'd. This is Stare into Your Soul. Makes sense for the characters. Alright, finally, we got Unseen Gaze, Swarm. Cost with 3. While this character is active, if you draw this die during your clear and draw step, draw and roll an extra die. So a way to get a whole bunch of them out. I can see this one being used as well. Yeah, I can see it. It'd be interesting. You could have some fun with it. We'll go with that. It's not going to be used widely because there's a lot of other character cards that are way cheaper than it. But overall, it's not bad and could find its way into some games. Alright, next we got Scarlet Witch. This is Witchy Woman. When fielded, search your bag for an action die and roll it. If you do and roll an energy face, Scarlet Witch deals you 2 damage for 3 cost. Interesting, again, kind of fits with the character, her chaotic self. doing you damage, but she's fairly cheap to purchase, only 3, and cheap to field. Her die is 013, 033, and 153. So what's great would be is when fielded, search your back for an action die and roll. If you do enroll an energy phase, she deals you 2 damage. So if you get her out early when you don't have action die, or you have action die not in your bag, that'd be the time to field her. Cheap card, basically. Cheap Mystic card. Next we got, while Scarlet Witch is active, when you use an action die, you may pay 1 to add it to your prep area. That is a little bit more useful. She's active when you use an action, you may pay 1. So a way to keep action die out there. Kind of think of it like a Professor X in a way, specifically for action die. That one I definitely can also see being used in games for decks that are very action die heavy, which is a lot of them now. Next we got, while Scarlet Witch is active, when you use an action die, gain 1 life. I like the 1 deals damage, 1 gives you life. There's a nice chaotic feel to the character. Really kind of fits the character as a whole. So we've got Chaos Magic was that, and then Hex Bolts was the other one. So finally Wong. Wong is the one everyone's been talking about. So we got 2 cost. This is Expert of Kamartage. Ally. So Wong counts as a sidekick and in the field zone and fast. So character dice with fast deal combat damage before normal combat damage all at once. So think of it as first strike in Magic. The die is 022 to field, really cheap and good stats. 133 and 143. At a 2 cost, this is going to definitely wind up in the game, if not 2, if not 3 or 4 dice on some teams. That one, I think, is the card everyone seems to be talking about, and understandably. Next, we get 3 costs dedicated to the Ancient One. Ally again. When fielded, you may pay X energy and sacrifice X sidekicks to deal X damage to your target opponent. This is more up my alley. I kind of like that. It sounds like a hell of a lot of fun to do. So being able to pay some damage, sacrifice some sidekick dice, and do damage to opponent. That is my type of field of play. And I'm sure there will be other folks who will take a lot of advantage of it, especially when you go and you take some of the, I think, I can see it being done well with Alfred. That's an ally that allows you to re-roll it and get it back into the field. Could be potentially really cool and devastating combo with that. And finally, we got a 3 ally. While Wong is active, other sidekick character dice get +1 attack, +1 at defense. We've seen that one. A lot of characters have that. I want to say that Casey Jones has that. So not quite as good. But if I'm doing a character die or a ally sidekick die heavy team that's really focused on sidekick dice, getting them out there, this is one I might consider. Overall, out of all of these, I think Wong's the strongest. The Eye of Agamotto definitely, I think, is going to wind up in getting some play. And Scarlet Witch has a couple cards in that. The other ones are okay. I think Doctor Strange's die and card from previous sets is better. The other ones are new. I don't really see them getting tons of play. We're going to have to think about this. I like the theme. I really like the direction they're going. They've already announced another one. The next pack's going to be Defenders for Marvel. That's going to come out next year. This one should be out in a month or so, fairly soon. And I'm going to go through and we're going to go and look at all the cards and really think through how to use them in the game, and if they're going to be useful or if they're not going to be useful. So stick with us. You can get that at graphicpolicy.com. As always, thanks for watching. Thank you, Wizkids, for hooking us up with this pack and set. I'm really looking forward to this. Might have to go and bring this to the shop this weekend to get some games in and see how it goes, roll some dice. But as always, thank you for watching. You can catch us every single day at graphicpolicy.com. Of course, we're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all at Graphic Policy, keeping it nice and consistent. So until next time, keep rolling those die and keep it geeky.